What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel, the Phil Phenom Show, I should say. But today we're going to be talking about Animal Man. And the reason why we're going to be talking about Animal Man is because, one, I recently just got the omnibus I got for my birthday about 20 days ago because I've always wanted to read this character and I never got the chance to. So my fam was wondering, like, Phil, what would you want for your birthday? I'm like, you know what? Give me the Grant Morrison and the Jeff Lemire Animal Man omnibuses. Because I'm a very open-minded person when in terms of comic books and just reading. And Animal Man is not really talked about a lot in the casual audience, and especially the comic book community. There's only about a couple channels that I've seen that really talked about him, but I really like the character a lot now, especially after reading the Grant Morrison omnibus. And with rumors coming around from the DCU or, you know, James Gunn, that Animal Man might come into play into the movies, which honestly sounds interesting. I still think Chris Pratt should play the character, but that's just me. But you know what? Let's talk about this character. Before I keep going on, I would appreciate a like, comment, subscribe, share to your loved ones to get this video out there so a lot more people get to be interested into this character of Animal Man or Buddy Baker. One last thing before I keep yapping. This is the only video going to be about is Grant Morrison's run, so about 25 to 30 issues. I'm going to do another video like this on Jeff Lemire's run, and then I'll do one more final video comparing the two runs on which one I prefer that I thought was better to the character. Anyways though, let's quit yapping here and let's get on with the video. So who is Animal Man? His real name is Buddy Baker, and he came around in DC Comics in 1965. Not really that popular character. Speaking of that year as well, that's the year my father was born, which is kind of interesting. But Animal Man, or Buddy Baker, received his powers when he was 19 years old. While out hunting with his friend, his high school friend, Buddy randomly stumbled upon a alien spacecraft that just came to Earth. His spacecraft exploded, and Buddy was incinerated with the blast. These apparent accident, when in reality was engineered by two alien beings, and they had motives about this. They were experimenting on this weird phenomenon, but they rebuilt Baker's body from scratch, like legit cell by cell, organism by organism, body by body. They linked him with the spirit to the life field of planet Earth and realistically connected him with the Red. And what the Red does specifically is let him become like an animal, almost like Beast Boy. If you guys watch Teen Titans cartoon or read the comics, he's kind of like Beast Boy. The big difference is that he can stay in human form. He doesn't have to transform into an actual elephant. He just looks at an animal or thinks about an animal and becomes that animal's power. So give an example. If he wanted to become a cheetah, he can, and actually run faster and just automatically do that. Wants to think about a bird, he can fly, etc. Now, when Buddy comes back to Earth, he marries his high school sweetheart, Ellen, which honestly, this is so 1980s, and I absolutely love her hairstyle. It's pretty awesome because I watch 1980s movies all the time. But he has two kids as well, named Cliff, which is his son, and Maxine, his daughter. And by the way, Cliff looks like legit him. He starts off as a small-time hero rocking this orange and blue costume, which is kind of weird because he looks like Ronald McDonald and the Hamburglar from those old school McDonald's cartoons. He sometimes wears a black suit, almost like Peter Parker suit. Not really, but we'll get into that later. With juggling crime fighting and his day job as a stuntman, which honestly, that's kind of cool. The fact that he can control animal powers, he could become a supervillain if he really wanted to, but no, he decides to be a stuntman because can't really hurt his body at all. But here's where things get wild. Animal Man was kind of a B-lister, like I've been telling you guys, up until the late 80s when writer Grant Morrison really picked up the book and turned his world upside down and our world upside down. Starting in 1988 with Animal Man issue 1, Morrison's run issues 1 to 26 took Buddy from a standard hero to a mind-bending meta icon. This story is not about punching bad guys, it's about animal rights, family drama, and questioning reality itself, which honestly I did not think this book was going to do that. Now with issue 1, it starts off with Buddy saving a cat from a tree, and we first think like, okay, what is up with this? This is like a Superman story, right? But we find out this cat is actually his neighbor's cat, and we find out his neighbor, the girl, and her husband is like an asshole. Not really her, but mostly the husband. Buddy comes inside his house and his wife is making dinner or lunch, and he looks at this Rolling Stone magazine about the superheroes of, you know, the Justice League and stuff, and how he wants to become a superhero again because I guess he took a break. And mind you guys, this is after Crisis on Infinite Earths from 1985, so the world's kind of reset a little bit in a way. And so he tells his wife Ellen, like, hey, I want to become a superhero again. And so what's really awesome is that his wife actually practices with him to become stronger with his powers, and how like he can like look at a spider, grant the strength of a spider and lift up cars, how he can fly like a bird. And it's weird because he can take animals' powers, right? But I don't think this book really shows that he can just fly all the time, because I've always seen him fly all the time without an animal near him. There's this one cool scene which I'll show you guys where he goes faster than 75 miles per hour, and it's because he steals an ant's power, which I'm like, what the hell? And it's really cool too. He kind of breaks the fourth wall a little bit. He's like, hey Flash, I'm faster than you, huh? You're gonna create another crisis event? I don't know, it was pretty interesting. This is when he dons the suit again, which honestly, I don't care what anyone says, I love Animal Man's suit, the orange and blue with the glasses. It looks cool. It reminds me of Booster Gold, but more like tech heavy and more like leather. It's really interesting, and I'm surprised they went this way. And so Buddy's first mission is actually like this research facility, or the Star Labs facility in San Diego, where this is when we first get to see that, is this like an AIDS facility? Because this place was about AIDS and saying that it came from monkeys, but we know that probably isn't true in this, at least in this sense. And so he looks through all this like broken machinery and is like, what is being researched here, Dr. Myers? And the final panel is all these monkeys like consumed into one being. I'm like, what the hell is this book? Like, this is literally the first issue. Issue 2, we kind of figure out that this research facility of Star Labs kind of mutates, I guess, animals. The reader knows this, right? Not actually Buddy. And it's like, we see like this big cockroach that's like bigger than a human. He's like 8-9 feet tall. Like, what is he, Bane? One of the panels I'll show, like a quick side note, is that when he meets Superman for the first time, I guess, because he's like, hey, are you Animal Man? He's like, yeah, I am. He's like, nice, I've heard about you. You do some good things, man. I just want to say hello and welcome to the Justice. Now, one of the first fights we see with Animal Man, he actually fights this rat creature, where I'm like, yo, what the hell is going on? Buddy picks up this car because he gets powers from I guess a praying mantis, I think I'm not mistaken, and throws the car at this rat. But this rat is super strong. I mean, so strong that it cut off Buddy's arm. I'm like, what the hell? And Buddy, he supposedly bled out and died in the second issue. I'm like, what did I just read? But with issue 3, right, we figure out that he actually took powers from an earthworm. And I guess earthworms, I guess lizards and stuff can regrow their bodies. So that's the power he gets from. And he grows his arm back. So he's kind of in a way like Wolverine in a sense, which is kind of cool. But this is when we're introduced to Buddy's first villain named Be Wanna Beast. Kind of a weird name. The first time I saw him, it was kind of cheesy. But when you get later into this book, you figure out, honestly, the character development with this specific character and like the mantle is pretty interesting. So the payoff was pretty good. Issue 4, they fight each other, and the fight was kind of underwhelming a little bit. But what's really awesome here is that there's a disease that the Star Labs from Dr. Myers made, and Buddy finds out about this, and it actually affects him too if you touch the animal, because it can go to humans. So what Buddy does is that he goes inside B1 Beast's powers, and what his powers are is that he can fuse 2 animals together to create this like super animal. And what Buddy does, since he could take animals' powers, he takes his powers and fuses his white blood cells to B1 Beast and saves his life. And the Beast guy is pretty like happy, like, hey, you saved my life, I appreciate it. And they actually become friends, and Buddy saves all the animals who have been infected with this, I guess, disease. And B1 Beast goes back to Africa, and we'll see him later on the run. It's not that important, at least in this aspect, but it's really cool. The first 4 issues are very grounded to, like, I guess, readers, and I liked it a lot. I don't really want to spoil too much about this book, so this will probably be my last issue review on this whole video. But issue 5 was a trip, because issue 5 brought into, like, not even supernatural, but I guess like metaverse, metaphorical stuff, where Grant Morrison himself gets to be put into the book, and I guess he's like God in this certain aspect. This is when we're introduced to this creature called the Coyote Gospel. I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, it's, look at his eyes. His eyes are just bulgy. I just don't know how to explain it, but it's super weird. But Buddy goes out into, like, you know, this Grand Canyon area, because, you know, it's kind of close there in San Diego. And so this trucker was trying to take out this coyote, thinking that he was the devil, but he really wasn't. He was just transferred there by Grant Morrison and the artist. And this is when we find out that he's kind of from like Looney Tunes land, which is kind of weird. And so for all this stuff he was doing bad in his life, Grant Morrison took him from the Looney Tunes land and brought him into the DC universe, where he pretty much has to live out his days until he figures out peace in life. And you kind of feel bad for this coyote because he dies, like, legit, and it's very trippy. It's peak comic book madness, and to me it cemented Animal Man as a symbol of storytelling that sometimes you really don't get in modern comic books, or just in comic books in general, because I feel like writers and stuff are very like held back because they don't own the property of that character, because it owns by DC and stuff. But I appreciate how Grant Morrison just went like ape shit after like the grounded story in the first 4 issues. One little nitpick about this book, and it's not really a nitpick because every book is not perfect. Between like issues 5 to like 15, it's kind of slow. And I read all this book literally in one day practically, and because every issue at least brought me into the next issue. And I found out this book is actually a Vertigo book. And if you guys know what Vertigo books are, they're kind of like the Sandman or like Lucifer books from DC. And it's something that I think I've really never read before. So if you guys are not really like into those books, this is a really good introduction to like that genre of comic books. But the main plot of the story picks up around issue 20, when we find out that like Buddy is meant for something more, where his psychiatrist comes to his house, right, and is like, hey Buddy, I had this vision and I know you had it too. We got to go to like this Mojave desert, right, middle of a desert, middle of nowhere, where they take like this specific like I guess Native American plant, right? I guess it's like a drug, which puts him into this like psychedelic mode. And this is where I guess Buddy figures out that he's connected to the red. And he's like, what is this thing? Because at first his powers really were just if he's near an animal or he can sense an animal, he can just, you know, become that animal. And then there's a thing called the gene bomb, and I don't think it was in this book. I think it was during like a big crossover event, which I have not read, so I do apologize, where everybody's powers in the Justice League gets messed up. It's kind of like what's going on in current DC with absolute power. So this is when Buddy figures out that he's connected to this thing called the red, where specifically he really doesn't need to be, I guess, near an animal. He's part of a like a legacy of animal. And something is very trippy too. This is kind of like a Flash book, where he's like stuck in a time paradox where his future self is trying to tell him about like, hey, save them, save your family. And I'm not going to go into spoilers much, but it's very trippy out. Like if you don't finish this book all at once, you'll be like, what just did I just read? So if I recommend reading this book, try to read it all 26 issues, or at least remember what you read before and keep continuing on. Because if you don't, you're going to forget it, because it's like a one-shot comic book, at least in my opinion, but not really. But after they go through this psychedelic trip, his psychiatrist says, and we both gained something, didn't we? I saw the first steps of the path of a new theory of unification, and you're linked to this metaphoric field. You don't have to be near an animal to absorb its abilities. You need only to think of the animal, and you're directly or connected directly to the field of any animal from any period, which is absolutely crazy. This is some spoilers, and I knew I wasn't supposed to put spoilers in this video, but basically, since he is trying to like save animals and stuff, there's like a group, and they're like an evil government, which is really like, I guess, relatable, because I think a lot of people think this way. But basically, they kill his family, okay? And so he asks the Justice League, like, hey, I need to like go back in time and save my family. And it's really sad too that his family goes, because it's like, I didn't think that was going to happen, but the whole 20 issues before that, or 19 issues I should say, the family dynamic is really awesome. Like so even from something from the 80s, where I feel like in the 80s it wasn't really like that much. Possibly I could be wrong, but if you guys like family dynamic plus like, I guess, just reality warping stuff, you guys would like this book. Anyways though, so he meets this time trapper guy that we saw like in I think it was Absolute Power. I think his name's Time Trapper or Time Stopper or something like that. And he takes technology to go back in time, and he takes this to the Justice League, where he's like, guys, I need to save my family. That's only thing that matters here. And that's like the whole plot of the book, that he figures out how to do this. And I didn't read the last 2 issues of this book, which I probably should have, but I believe he succeeds, or maybe he doesn't succeed. But that is what I like about this book though, is that like it's very trippy. Like just everything about it. It goes from just like, I guess, a grounded story to like this, I guess, just crazy nonsense. And maybe I'm just yapping here, but I just felt so well connected with this book. Like every page, I just could not wait for what the next page like showed and said. So why should you care about Animal Man? Well, he's not just a gimmick. He's a hero who stands for something, right? He stands for nature, saving animals, don't mess up animals, like morally right. He has an awesome family that I really relate to, even though I'm the only child, which, you know, is kind of surprising. But he also asks the big questions and what it means to be a character in someone else's story. He's relatable in a way Batman or Wonder Woman can't always be, right? Being a family man that, you know, likes animals and wants to do good. Like I said earlier in my video, plus with rumors of Animal Man being a movie or in a development in DC, this might be a perfect time to jump on the bandwagon and read this character. And I'm telling you, you guys will absolutely love this book. Buddy Baker's got heart, quirks, and a legacy that's weirder and deeper than most. Especially, last thing I'll say about this, since Aquaman and Jeremy Adams' run is talking about the blue, it's really awesome to get to know the green and the red. And after I read, you know, all of Animal Man, I'm probably gonna start reading Swamp Thing to learn about the green, because I really have never read Swamp Thing. But I think the red is something interesting in DC that I hope they adapt into the movies. And I hope we get a new run of Animal Man, because to be honest with you, in current DC, I have no idea where he's at. I still gotta read Jeff Lemire's new 52 run, which I've talked about earlier in my video, that I will start doing a video on that and read him and compare the two books. That's Animal Man in a nutshell. What do you guys think? Would you watch Buddy Baker's movie? Do you guys have a favorite animal power that you guys would use from all of history? Drop in the comments below and let me know if you guys enjoyed this video. Please smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, share it to your loved ones. I appreciate you guys, everything you do. Don't worry, I will be doing more videos of these. They just take a lot longer and I gotta find the time for it. But Animal Man, yeah, he's awesome. Again, guys, thank you guys for everything. I'll catch you guys later. Don't worry, the next video of new 52 Animal Man will be here shortly. Peace.